Style takes too long. I can't fit anything. I have nothing in this closet. Oh, I'll just stay home. I need to purge my closet. Oh, but not that dress. Yo, Taylor here. If you ever thought to say one of these phrases, then this show is for you. Join me at the Style Table, where we'll have candid and fun conversations about real women's style issues and wardrobe dilemmas. We will discuss solutions and ideas that will give you a big sigh of relief. You'll learn ways to save money, make money, and enrich the lives of others with the clothes in your closet. We're going to take the stress out of your style. Hey everybody, it's Yo Taylor back here at the Style Table, and I'm here with Nikki Lanier. She is the CEO of Harper, Slade, LLC. It's a racial equity advisory firm. Nikki, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
So tell me about your firm. What do you do? Tell our audience what your firm is all about.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Harper Slade is a racial equity advisory firm. Our motto is we help advance equity for some and equality for all. At its core, what I do is help organizations and communities understand how to activate and amplify Black and Hispanic talent within their workplaces and within their communities as a macroeconomic imperative. So I talk about the urgency around the browning of the country and how important it is to make sure that we are really accelerating our DEI and especially E efforts for the overall benefit of the economic outcomes.
That is so awesome, because I think everybody benefits when everybody's treated equally. Everybody gets the benefit of, especially in the work environment, to have different points of view, and which brings more meat to the conversation, brings more, more to think about. So everybody's not so linear. People can think outside of the box.
That's right. That's right. We all have a lot of texture and dimension in our lives, and we've always, as human beings, traversed in the minutia of that texture and dimension. The challenge, though, is that we do so sometimes in segregated ways and in ways that marginalize the browner and Blacker citizen, unknowingly sometimes and intentionally other times. And so there's a cost to all of it. And so that's what I just try to help organizations understand.
Yeah, and more. I mean, it's just reality. The world is just small. That's how it is. We're all connected. So we all have to deal with each other. We all have to learn to respect and love each other and work with each other. I love what you do. I love it.
Thank you.
Now, with that, there's always something to do with style. Because there's different cultures, and there's different people with different religious backgrounds. So all of that comes into play. Do you have any examples of how you help people or organizations deal with interviewing or bringing into people of different religious or cultural backgrounds into their organizations?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's at the root of that is just, people want to be affirmed and celebrated for who they are without feeling like they have to be penalized for who they are not. And there's just a lot of cultural nuances that demonstrate themselves in a myriad of ways. Our garb and our attire and our external dressing is one of those ways. And so as a part of the DEI journey, especially the diversity and inclusion journey, I think, it's important for organizations to understand how more than tolerating, really embracing and celebrating the many ways within which culture shows up. And so that people can come to work and be in professional spaces without also feeling like doing so requires them to check part of themselves at the door.
Right. You want them to come as their whole authentic self. So they're giving 100% to the organization and not feeling intimidated or feeling threatened or just those microaggressions. Those things are real. I just had a lady
They
touch my hair the other day.
Oh, right, right. They're real, and they're social norms, right? There's social norms that are at play in every construct. That's a workplace or education systems, in the hospital, and in the grocery store. There's social norms that are largely informed by the dominant culture. That, depending on where you are, what region you're in, with whom you're encountering, those norms can feel fairly rigid and calcified and right. Like, this is the norm that is right, and whatever you're demonstrating that's contrary or different from that is wrong. And so I just want us to unpack that and understand when and where we're doing that to each other.
Because honestly, I don't think the lady who touched my hair, I don't even think she thought twice about it. I just feel like she was curious and she wanted
Yep.
to touch my hair. So I don't think she was like this, horrible, entitled person. I just think she just wanted to touch my hair. Yeah. So, but for a person having that education as to what's appropriate and what's not, can definitely keep the lid on the pot from boiling over if organizations hire firms like yours to keep people kind of in check. Because even something that little, can be taken as offensive.
Yeah. And it's hard to know what's offensive and what's not, what's the right thing to say, what's not, as we're moving into this journey. And it's unprecedented, really, this idea of us really, as a matter of course, including difference as a matter of presumptive cadence, is just not a part of how we have maneuvered as countrymen one to another. So, sorry, my dogs are losing their mind in the background.
All right. This is real life.
How we, like, the touching of hair and the asking questions about, like, what do you eat and why do you dance that way? Some of that, I think we've got to grow a little bit better tolerance around, but some of it is also discernment to know, like, when and where is this a genuine, authentic curiosity versus a kind of privilege rooted assault that is, somewhere in there is like some microaggression, some presumptive right that my hair is yours to touch. Like, when and where does that stuff happen? Versus, oh, I'm just really curious. I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with Black people, and all I know is what I see on TV. Can I touch your hair? Can I understand your culture and your way of being and your existence differently than what I've consumed by TV or what I read somewhere or what I heard my grandma say about y'all? So it's hard to really know when and where to invoke what, but it's interesting.
It is. And you also, as a person of color, I would imagine, that conversation has to come to us too, because we have to also, if we want to get things done, pick and choose our battles.
There it is. That's right.
Because her touching my hair, I had to discern, okay, this wasn't somebody who was being, just vicious or catty. Yeah. She was just curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, you have to pick your battles too, or you go out and you start your own company.
Well, yeah, but even then you still got to pick your battles. You still got to pick your battles. We're still human. You know what I mean? We're still human. Yeah. So who knows what you might have experienced for the first 8 hours of the day could have been microaggression after racist comment, after marginalization, after muting, after passed over for the thing, after called the N-word in the grocery store. And now this lady wants to touch your hair. Right. You know what I mean? Like, your discernment.
Yeah. But and this conversation is important because it's helping people think about things before they do things. Because hopefully, I have people who are listening to this going, "Gosh, maybe I shouldn't have done that to or I didn't realize that that was, offensive or
Right.
wrong.
Well, here's the thing.
You know,
It is in Black America's interest that white America understand us, right? It is important in the DEI journey, especially if we're looking for commitment, not just compliance. The understanding of Black culture has to happen at some point. And for most white Americans, it will happen in adulthood because there's nothing in their early years, for the most part, that introduces them to our particular lived experience or historic
hmm
experience, like our experience with structural and institutional inequities. So they hear about it more often than not, either on TV as adults or in the workplace. And that's when they start invoking their curiosity around what exactly does difference manifest? What does that look and feel like? Starting with one way to do that is like, how do can I touch your hair? So ask questions about like, what do you guys eat at Thanksgiving and Christmas? What do you like to do? What is your weekend like? Is it different than mine? So those questions feel offensive and they feel off-putting, but they're important questions to answer because how else do they go? In what other construct would they understand us?
Unless we tell them who we are.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom. That's it. That's it right there. That
Yeah.
is it. Because you're going to have people who come into work if you wear a hijab, if you want to wear, if you're Hindu and part of your attire may come in. What nowadays, especially since COVID, it's like, what constitutes what's professional?
Yeah.
The younger generation is like, they're like, well, we're bucking now that it's a whole different thing. I mean, my son has an afro out to here, and he works in a very conservative environment.
And he's going where in many ways, thank God for this next generation because they have helped to redefine and reset the employer-employee relationships in ways that are just gangster. Honestly, if you think about it, I mean, they're not beholden to this ideology that employer dictates all of the norms, all of the expectations, and all of the cadence and ritual that's typically associated with work. They're either in the camp, this younger generation's either in the camp that I kind of share with you, employer, what I'm hoping for. And if you can't meet that, then I'll move on. Or I'm willing to negotiate and have a conversation with you about how that shows up. But in no uncertain terms, am I willing to just defer to your unilateral, singularly defined expectations of not just what I do, but how I show up in doing it. Those days are over.
Yeah, they really are. I talked to a woman who said, my hair is blue and I like it and I'm good at my job. Yeah. And so, because not only you have racial differences and issues around that, but you also have just being a woman. Mm-hmm. You have these certain expectations. What do I wear? How do I dress? Do I look more masculine so I won't look like I'm trying to get there's so many different things. And then if you add race and religion on, oh my gosh, that's a vortex of drama, right. Just getting dressed.
Just getting dressed. I love it. That's so true. That's so true.
Wow. I mean, women, we just go through, it's always so extra for us, right? It's always so extra. I remember I had a client who was dressing very conservative, dressing like she was so much older than what she was. And she goes, I like this flower. I'm like, why do you have that shirt? You're not 80? Take that off. I want them to think I'm professional. You can be professional. Nobody's saying wear the micro mini skirt, but you don't have to dress so masculine just because, and not be your true authentic self as a feminine yet powerful woman. Right. I think you can be both. And I think I think Black women should be able to show up with whatever hairstyle they want. I'm still baffled by the fact that we need the Crown Act. I'll say it 100 times. Who cares how people wear their hair as long as they show up and get the job done and feel good and feel confident when they're in front of clients? I don't
Well, yeah.
know.
Well, it's not. Well, they care because there's a narrative assigned to the crown. There's a narrative assigned to the way you wear your hair. There's a narrative assigned to the skin. There's a narrative assigned to the gender. There's a narrative assigned to anything that isn't the standard, typical norm setting prototype. And that narrative oftentimes is deficit ridden. So that's why we need laws like the Crown Act, all kinds of laws to get ahead of our natural kind of human, very much kind of, I think, American presumptive expectation around who gets to matter without context and asterisk and footnote and lots and lots of explanation, and who gets to matter just as a matter of presumptive right. And it's rarely us. It's rarely our hair. It's rarely the way we dress. It's rarely our skin. It's rarely that, because these narratives are hard to overcome, especially when they're insidious and quiet, but they're consistent building.
Wow. Yeah, it is 2022. How exhausting. But you know what I mean? It really is sad, but we are making progress because we have people who are out there telling the truth, teaching organizations, teaching the public how to embrace diversity.
Yeah.
We need that. The country needs that.
Yeah.
Everybody needs it. Everybody needs it.
We definitely need it. And that's exactly what I work on.
And I can tell already you're a beast at it. You are you got woo.
Thank you.
I'm sure you help many organizations and companies and corporations get themselves together in that arena. And I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So Nikki, tell me about your personal style when you show up for these meetings or meetings with clients or
so my style is very much informed by my mother's style, if I'm honest. I grew up with a mother who was a college professor, an English professor. She was the chairman of the Department of English for many institutions, including several historically Black colleges and universities. And my mother, if you think back to like the Diane Carroll in the 80s of Dynasty, or the Constable, and also in the 80s of the Cosby Show, my mother was always very elegant, very elegant, always with the beautiful hosiery and the beautiful suits and the nice pumps and the mink coats and the just very well put together. That was exactly my mother's style. So I was always inspired by that. She was also very well spoken and painfully articulate, as you might imagine, as an English professor. So I see my style very much as patterned by hers, especially when I'm in circles with my clients or prospective clients or speaking engagements in boardrooms or the like, because her style, and I hope that mine, exudes elegance and confidence and refinement and eloquence, right? And relatability, though. There's a relatability piece to it and accessibility piece to the way that I hope I present myself in my style.
And accessibility is a big part of that too, because as you know, as Black women, we can be threatening. We can look intimidating. You know what I mean? There's a level of, you don't want to walk in looking like you might be how do you thread that needle? Because you don't want to look like the aggressive, or how do you thread that needle? You know what I'm saying?
I don't. Okay. So let's see, this is what I talk about with these narratives, like these stereotypes and these narratives that are, I'm keenly aware of them. Honest, most of my career, not all of it, but most of my career, I rebuked that narrative. I mean, I found offense, and I resented it, and I tried, I don't know how successfully, to not buy in to it, like not alter too much of who I am, what I do, how I present myself in order to appease white narratives. I just didn't want to do that. I will add though, now as a DEI practitioner, I'm swimming in this ecosystem of DEI kind of consultants, even though that's not necessarily what I do. I do more racial equity strategy, but I'm aware that the doctrine that I peddle, what I am selling, is antithetical to mainstream hearing. And it's hard to hear without feeling like it requires any particular person's diminishment or dignity disruption. Like, it's hard to hear it in that way. So what I try to do, and this is a part of my overall style, both in terms of how I dress myself, but also in how I behave, is to disarm. And
Yes.
yeah, and this, and I'm fairly intentional with that, and that accessibility and relatability, because of what I am espousing. Because I'm interested in your heart and your commitment. I'm not interested in your complying with Nikki yelling at you or Nikki making you feel bad, right? Because that doesn't change generations. That just complies with the moment. But I want to poke your heart and your mind in a way that changes the way you lead, changes the way you parent, changes the way you show up as a spouse, how you contribute to your community, how you challenge conversations at the Thanksgiving table now when such and such says something about such and such. Like, I want to pierce your heart in that way. And in order to do so, everything about my package has to feel as though it's something that you can lean into and trust and see as a part of your own kind of infrastructure, your own circle of influence that's trusted and reliable.
I love that. I love that. So in essence, you walk into the room dressed fabulous, polished, elegant, but you also bring in the energy of a breath of fresh air, something new, something fresh, something that makes you want to open up your mind to hearing something different.
I hope so. I hope that.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it right there because that's like powerful. Yeah. I want you to tell us how we can get in contact with you.
Thank you. So I'm all over social media. Harper Slade, Racial Equity Advisory. We have a Facebook page, LinkedIn page, Instagram page. My website is www.harperslade.com. You can reach out to us for purposes of getting on calendar and connecting at admin@harperslade.com. So there's a number of ways to get hold of us.
Fantastic. And you guys know you can always find me, Yo Taylor, at thestyletable.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, at The Style Table, LLC. And you can watch this and many other interviews with fabulous, intelligent, and powerful women doing great things on my YouTube channel, at The Style Table, LLC. Please subscribe. See you next time. Bye.